The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Foyle Legal. For advice tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified legal professional. Welcome to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal, your trusted source for understanding personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and claim the compensation you deserve.
Ever done that thing, where you're driving and go for a sip of coffee, but then, oh no, it spills everywhere?
Happens to the best of us.
Right. But imagine this. That spilled coffee makes you swerve, and bam, you're in an accident.
Yeah. Whose
fault is it then? That's what we're diving into today. Contributory negligence in Australia.
Sounds messy.
Definitely a legal tangle. Luckily, we've got our legal expert here to help us untangle it. We're using this blog post from Foyle Legal, personal injury law firm in Perth. They seem to know their stuff.
Looking forward to it.
So it's not always a simple, they messed up, so I get compensated situation, is it?
Not always, no. Australian law recognizes that sometimes, even if someone else is in the wrong, you might have played a part in what happened too.
Okay, so it's not just about who's at fault, but how much each person is at fault.
Exactly. It's called contributory negligence. And yeah, it can really impact how much compensation you might receive.
So, like splitting a pizza, you're 20% responsible for the accident, you get 20% less compensation.
You got it. Although it's not always a clean 50-50 split or anything. The court looks at all the evidence and figures out the percentage based on everyone's actions or even inactions.
This is getting complicated. Can you give me an example of how this all works in real life?
Sure thing. Picture this. A pedestrian walks onto the road, not even looking, totally glued to their phone, and gets hit by a speeding car. The driver's in the wrong, obviously, for speeding. But the pedestrian messed up too by not paying attention. That's contributory negligence.
Talk about a wake-up call to look up from your phone.
Exactly. You got to take responsibility for your own safety, even when someone else might be mostly at fault.
Makes sense for a pedestrian accident. What about, say, a workplace injury?
Okay, let's say a construction worker gets injured because a scaffolding collapses. Seems straightforward, right? But then it turns out the worker noticed some loose bolts earlier and didn't report them.
Oops. Classic case of see something, say something, right?
Right. The faulty scaffolding is the main problem, but not reporting those loose bolts. That matters too. They have a responsibility to keep themselves safe, and not doing that, well, that could affect their compensation.
So it's not just about someone else messing up, it's about whether you act responsibly too.
Absolutely. It adds a whole other level of complexity if you're ever in that situation.
These examples are eye-opening. It's one thing to know we should be careful, but seeing how it all plays out legally makes it so much more real. So we've talked about spilling coffee, jaywalking, and loose bolts, but how do you actually prove this stuff in court?
Yeah, it's not like someone just raises their hand and says, well, I think they should have been more careful.
Exactly. There's got to be some kind of process, right?
You're right. It's not about opinions. It's about evidence. Cold, hard evidence presented to the court.
But what kind of evidence are we talking about here?
Well, it depends on the situation, of course. But you could be looking at witness testimonies, photographs, video footage, even expert opinions, anything that helps paint a picture of what happened, the choices each person made or didn't make.
Okay, so like putting together a puzzle,
Yeah.
You need all the pieces.
Exactly. And just like every puzzle's different, each contributory negligence case has its own quirks.
This might be getting a bit technical, but what about things besides direct evidence? Like, do legal precedents, past cases, have any effect on how contributory negligence is decided?
You're thinking like a lawyer already, and the answer is yes, absolutely. Judges often look back at similar cases and how they're decided. It's called precedent.
So, building a case based on legal history.
That's a great way to put it. Lawyers will actually use past cases in their arguments, highlighting the similarities or differences to support their side.
It's like that saying, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. But this time it's more like those who remember past cases can argue better in the present.
I like that. It shows how law is constantly evolving, adapting to new situations.
This is all super interesting, but let's step back for a second. It's easy to get lost in the legal jargon, but why does this matter to the average person? Someone listening who might never even see the inside of a courtroom. Why should they care about contributory negligence?
You're right. This isn't just theoretical. Understanding contributory negligence has real consequences for all of us.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about awareness. When you understand this concept, you think more carefully about your actions and what could happen because of them.
So knowing about this legal stuff actually makes you make safer choices day to day.
That's the idea. You might think twice about things like crossing the street without looking or ignoring a potential hazard at work.
It's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. It highlights how these concepts are connected.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. We've covered what contributory negligence is, how it works in the real world, and even how it's proven in court. But with all the crazy technology these days, is it possible this whole concept could change, become even more complex in the future?
That's a great question, and it's something legal experts are trying to figure out right now. With dash cams, body cams, even our smartphones, proving or disproving fault is getting really complicated.
It's kind of wild to think our phones could be like Exhibit A in a courtroom. But even with all this future talk, we haven't forgotten about you, dear listener. So what does this all mean for the average person just trying to live their life safely?
That's what it boils down to, right? It's not just legal mumbo jumbo. It's about knowing we all have a part to play in keeping ourselves and everyone else safe, being present, aware of what's around us, making smart choices to avoid danger.
So not just about staying out of court, but taking responsibility for your actions and their impact.
Exactly. It's a mindset, like that feeling when you double check, you lock the door before bed, being proactive, not reactive.
That extra bit of awareness can make all the difference.
You got it. And the more we get this whole contributory negligence thing into our heads, the better we become at creating a culture of safety, of shared responsibility.
This whole deep dive's been incredible. We've gone from a kind of confusing legal term to real-life examples and even what it all means in our tech-crazy world, plus some useful tips for our listeners.
It's been great joining you on this one. Hopefully everyone listening has a better grasp on this and feels empowered to be safe out there.
Couldn't have done it without you. And to everyone listening, we hope you found this interesting and helpful. If you want to dig deeper, check out the show notes for a link to that Foyle legal blog post we talked about. And remember, knowing your rights and responsibilities is super important. So stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Thank you for listening to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal. We hope this episode helped clarify your rights and next steps in your injury claim. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and visit foylelegal.com for more useful information. See you next time.